Hello and welcome back to Actual Play, playing Sync. I'm so excited. If you've been around since this morning, this is our first Actual Play double feature. It's super rad that I get to play with all these rad people. I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns, and Sync is a game that I have been watching for a while now, and I've been really excited to play it. And our characters are so cool and all intertwined with each other in fun, cool, messy ways. And I want to see how that plays out in game. And also, we did some fashion stuff before the game, and I've been having a good time playing with what we're wearing. So it's all good stuff. How about you, Kara? How are things?
Things are good. We're LARPing it today. This is an actual play stream LARP. It'd be fun if there actually were LARPs on Twitch. I guess there probably are. Anyway, that's a sidetrack. Hi, I'm Kira. I'm designing this game that we're playing today. It's called Sync. It is a cyberpunk fields-focused non-violent game. And it is set in near future Miami, which is Miami is one of my favorite cities in the real world. So I'm excited to imagine that it's summertime and we're in palm trees, even if it is a slight dystopia. And also, this episode is dedicated to Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer, which I've been obsessed with for 3 days straight. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's basically an episode of this game. So that's what I'm excited about today. Andy, how about you?
Golly, I am really excited daydreaming about summer. Hi, my name is Andy. My pronouns are she and her. Can it please be summertime yet? I'm really there. Perhaps the thing I want to mention is I'm going to be playing the Analyst Playbook. My character's name is Nash, and their pronouns are she, her. And I'm real excited about the part where Sean pulled a dirty trick on me. And Nash is in love with Sean's character, Tessa. That's what I got going on. We'll see what that looks like. Karen, how's it going?
It's pretty good. My name is Karen. My pronouns are she, her. I'm going to be playing the driver, Lido, whose pronouns are he, him. I'm super excited just to play this game. We've got a ridiculous love triangle thing going on and a lot of fun moves, and I can't wait to see some of those in action.
Rad.
Did I need to say something else?
No.
Okay.
I'm just excited. I'm just doing that really awkward segue of introductions into game.
Okay. How's that going?
It's going. It's going
cool.
along.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm listening to Janelle Monáe in the background. It's probably distracting me.
Probably.
But
it's hard not to be distracted by Janelle Monáe. She's magical.
Just as like a general rule.
Yeah.
So we were in the middle, or not the middle. We were finishing up character and setting creation.
Yes.
And let's flip over to that.
Yeah, and if we can go over what we've done so far, just as a refresh for everybody, that might be a good place to start. If everyone is down for that. I think we can get everything done and start playing a bit today. So some of the things we can see in Roll20, everything that we picked. But can you all just describe your characters really quick again? Like just go over like a brief like who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. Karen, how about you tell us about Lido?
Sure. Lido's is a driver. His pronouns are he, him. He's toned. He has cool eyes. His car is pretty awesome. It's he's got a remote control for it. It's wireless. He has a hot shit garage. He keeps it fastidiously clean. I think we said it has the shape of a vintage Jaguar, little 2-door roadster thingy.
All matte finish, right?
Yeah. So his car is amazing. That's one of his moves.
Cool.
He can communicate. He has the ability to kind of do some nonverbal communication fairly well. He can bug out of situations when he just can't deal to go recover. And Yeah, I think we decided Leto and Tessa kind of had a bonding moment when he was helping her set up some art installation. And Tessa and Leto have both dated Nash. Leto's on good terms with Nash, or at least in his mind, because he never really felt like maybe they were dating anyways. It's very unclear. He kind of just drifts in and out of relationships. But he's cool with her past, her dubious past.
Does he Tokyo drift in and out of relationships?
Kind of.
Sorry. Cool.
Nice.
All right. And you described both your relationships with Tessa and Nash, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Sean, do you want to go next?
Sure. Tessa is a designer. She has a killer pad / workshop. It's very like like every like warehouse industrial space that is converted to also living space and party space at the same time. A lot of those parties are not necessarily like super safe in regards to there being all this industrial manufacturing equipment everywhere. But it's not like buzz saws it's not like an obstacle course danger zone. It's just there is an arc welder that's constantly just has the pilot flame going and things like that. And her aesthetic is very much like worn and sort of tattered clothes because she's constantly working with her hands and things get sort of beat up by nature. Herself as well. She's got lots of little scars all over that are from burns and things like that. They're not like sentimental. They're just a sign of her craft. The thing that sort of sticks out and is like Kira's super rad glasses have completely like stolen the show. But if you can imagine, Tessa also has super rad glasses that are like trying to be as rad as Kira's. So, and they have like that whole heads up display and all that jazz.
Cool.
When she pulls them down, though, she has very arresting eyes. She catches people with her eyes. Kira's relationship with Leto is that of friends and just as of recently, like hookup buddies. They had this installation, and Leto was kind enough to let her. Tessa uses she, her pronouns, to let her use his car to move stuff around. It was an ordeal to get it all in and make sure it fit just perfectly and didn't muss anything.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, he was like super helpful when it came to the actual setting up of the installation. And it was also like really hot to have him like lifting heavy things and whatnot. And it got kind of steamy, and then they hooked up afterward. But like this still just feels like Leto's her friend, a good friend. Nash, however, Tessa doesn't know all of Nash's story. Doesn't know necessarily about her criminal background, and we were lovers, like in relationship lovers, for a hot minute, and then that has fizzled. And we don't really know exactly where that sits now, right? I'm excited to find out where that goes.
Yeah.
So Tessa always has people over. Her place is kind of the population is sort of mercurial. That people are often sleeping in her warehouse space that she knows at least by like 1 degree of separation. Yeah.
Cool.
So good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how about Nash?
Oh golly. So Nash is analyst, uses she, her pronouns. And I think the most important thing we can know about Nash is that they have like fantastic, spectacular bedhead always. No matter what.
Oh yes.
That's critical.
How does she feel about people touching it?
You want to find out?
That'll be a roll, please.
Yeah, right.
But maybe exceptions could be made.
That's funny.
I think things that we know about Nash at this juncture is that she's energetic and moves around a lot. Is fairly like physically present in a space, and under all of that, in relationship to all of that, we see Nash has got really stressed out eyes. And I think part of that is conveyed because she's got like an implanted HUD. So she's always like, she's possibly always working and doing data stream stuff, even when she's out in the world, or minding the feeds. So I think there's some of that going on. Other things we know about Nash is that Nash has like a big snarl of like daisy chained old crappy laptops that are how everything like is her like technology stuff, and then also has put together like a custom like data aggregator that the more I think about it, it might be like a pretty low key AI friendo. We'll see.
Cool.
Seems important. Seems like that entity might have a name and have some opinions.
I kind of love the idea that it like all exists in this cobbled together network, right? Like that maybe you can't fit it on any one of these machines. It's sort of like,
Yeah.
because when one goes down, it gets sort of glitchy and you have to fix it.
So good.
It's very Mr. Robot. I don't know if you have
Yeah.
seen Mr. Robot, Andy.
I have not had the pleasure, no. So
Oh, yeah, it's like a similar aesthetic. It's just like crappy old machines, and
great.
except he's very paranoid about data getting out. So every time he saves some data, he like destroys that hard drive and puts in a new one.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
good. All right.
So if you do have an AI data aggregator that you want to keep safe, I don't know how you would feel about destroying it, but that could be interesting.
In my imagining, because I feel like because technology is more pervasive, like Wi-Fi connectivity stuff is a given.
Yeah.
So like its home address might be like its point of origin might be those laptops, and I imagine it probably lives in some cubby of the internet somewhere.
Yeah, some cloud space.
So
outside of net neutrality laws.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah, cool.
And I think the only other thing worth noting is that as the analyst, Nash is arguably as good at reading people as she is at reading data. So reflected in those moves that I picked.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for your brief descriptions.
Ed is in love with Tessa.
Oh.
Very important. I forgot.
That is an important thing to note. True love.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of a Tessa aesthetic, which is while Tessa doesn't necessarily do a ton of work on cars per se, I think that's very much Leto's thing. Seeing Tessa roll out from underneath something on a dolly, like laying down on a dolly, like kind of sweaty and with various like holding some tool is definitely a like hot moment in Tessa. Like this is when Tessa looking very
fetching.
Yeah.
Oh no! And back to the skateboards. There's so many wonderful shenanigans to get into.
Yeah, I'm gonna read through the things that we picked actually, so that we can remember all the stuff that we've done, all the hard work that we've done describing Miami. Let me see. So that description of lady love and like someone rolling out on a board reminded me so much of like season 4 L Word. I just had flashbacks of like, I don't know if you see it. There's like a deaf sculptor character, and she's always like in overalls, and like, what's her face from Flashdance falls in love with her. Anyway,
sounds great.
It's great.
Yes.
So in near future Miami, too many hurricanes have begun flooding parts of the interior, making certain parts of the city underwater and transforming some old roadways into waterways. The culture is still predominantly Hispanic and Latino, or Latinx. I know that that's not, the term is wishy-washy, so I'm not sure how to use it, but maybe we'll use that one. And the history has a great influence over contemporary race and class issues. So the things that we picked so far in near future Miami 10 seconds in the future, is that there are, I guess that's on the roll 20. Well, I'll just read them all. So we have private beaches, underwater clubs, boardwalks, outdoor seating everywhere, with like elevated cafes and balcony seating for restaurants, kind of like a posh thing. There's a shopping and financial district which is particular about who they let into the district. They don't like poor people being there. And then there's amphibious food trucks, one of my favorite additions.
Pretty
There's
rad.
yeah, a skateboard park, which Andy seemed really excited about. A rooftop hangout that's a dive bar, and the first floor is flooded, so that's super cool. And then for arts and culture, we have an international scene. Got lots of bright colors. We've got street art, floating buildings, Art Deco hotels, glass skyscrapers, industrial platforms, and docks with rusty metal and seaweed barracudas. That's not right. Barnacles.
Also barracudas, I think.
Barracuda. And then we also have for I think I blended art, culture, and architecture, and that's fine. But for transportation, we have AI buses that are always late, hoverboards, hydro-powered cars, and personal boats. These are all options that we picked off of the sheet, if we remember. And then for the atmosphere in Miami, we have it's a travel destination. Kind of outdated as far as cities go in America, like compared to other cities. So there's like a bunch of corporate plans that are taking place here, but they don't really care about the people that live here. And as for the travel destination, it's kind of like there's touristy things, lots of outsiders, and there's kind of a resort economy where there's like people coming from outside, staying in resorts in Miami. It's like a fancy place to be, which means that lots of people that live and work in Miami have to cater to tourists. So that creates kind of a class issue with resorts and everything. So that's everything we have so far. We still have to do a little bit more here. So I don't know, Sean, if you still have this sheet to share for that has, it's like the Miami sheet.
Yeah, the NPC generator.
No, actually, it is a document with like all the character sheets on it. If not, that's okay.
I am just slipping. Why don't you shoot me a link and I'll catch up. You send it to me and I'll get it on the screen eventually.
Yes.
I do have the NPC generator. I turned that into a handout so that we could all look at it.
Oh, cool. I have only a PDF.
Yes. Yes, I now recall that. I will pull that up. It'll be up shortly. We'll see if it looks good too.
I can email it to you again.
Nah, I got it. I know.
Okay, cool. You've got it. Sorry, I had to think about how to send that to you. Yeah, it'd be helpful to look at the demographics for all of us, basically.
Yeah, tell me what page on the PDF we're looking at, and I'll follow it up.
It is
27.
Yeah. Wow, you were on this.
My goodness. Bam. Okay.
Boom. Yeah.
I'm gonna get this in a second.
So
there it is.
This is important because this is not only the demographics of Miami, but this is also the demographics of your characters, which we haven't picked yet. We haven't picked the character races. And I've agonized about how to do race in this game because I think race and culture are really important in Cyberpunk, and it shouldn't just be willy-nilly. You're just choosing anything. I think it should be tied to the place that you're in, because I think that that's how race works in the real world. There's like different demographics depending on what city you live in. But I'm not a race expert, so if anyone watching this has a cooler idea, if any of you have a cooler idea about how to do this, I'm all ears. But basically what I did was I kind of looked at current demographics in contemporary Miami. So we can kind of look at these. These are what's on the sheet and futurify them a little. I imagine they'll be probably a little bit more mixed and diverse, and I would like them to be that way. But, when you're thinking about your character's race, kind of take a look at these options, and I would say try not to be white. Just because I think that we want to think about demographics that are more impacted by class issues, by oppression. And that is still true in the near future of Miami. And I think representation is important. So as long as you're comfortable with playing a non-white character, think about picking, Hispanic or Latino. And there's like kind of some options of Hispanic and Latino demographics in Miami. There's a lot of Cuban culture, a lot of Haitian culture in Miami. There's a lot of Black culture and a little bit of Asian. So I wanted to include that, but it is a very small percentage. But you don't have to just pick one. You could pick two and mix them. So think about what you'd like your character to be. So far, there's not really anything else connecting me to a demographic. So think about what do you think? Sean, are you about to say something?
Yeah. I've been thinking about Tessa a little bit about
Cool.
this as we've been going, and I believe that Tessa's from the DR. She's a Black Hispanic woman, and she's. I think there's because I've just been reading the Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. I've been hearing a lot about folks in the DR, and that means it's in my head. It means I have zero expertise, but at least it's the notion is in my head. So yeah, so she's a very dark-skinned Black woman from the Dominican Republic, and from my understanding, there is a lot of folks in the DR that are in Miami by way of Cuba. It's sort of like a natural path that way. So
Cool. And the DR being the Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Sounds great. All right. I'm sorry, were you done? Did I cut you off?
Yeah, no, that's that. And in terms of the world building stuff, I think we're keeping track of all of that either on our character sheets or that you're doing it on the Roll20 sheet, right? So I'm going to throw that in my character sheet. But if there's anything else, will you throw it onto the Roll20 screen? Does that work?
Do you mean as far as demographics?
Well, if we're doing any other editions, like we'll put the rest of like the central stuff in Roll20.
Oh,
does that sound
yeah,
right?
yeah. Gotcha.
Cool.
Gotcha. Cool. So yes, Andia Karen, what race do you think your characters will be?
Do you have a strong sense of anything in the minute, Karen, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I don't have a strong sense. If you have an idea, could jump on in.
Great. I've been thinking about this over the course of just since we last played, trying to figure out how to be like accountable, right? As someone who's white and who's going to fuck it up.
Absolutely.
Right. And I want to make space for that as a thing. And like, here I am, that's a thing. And it's important to acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. If I fuck up, I want to hear about it. And I believe that Nash is Filipino. So I feel like in amid all of this really strong like Latinx, or like we can talk about how to talk about racial identity, right? Because there's also how do we address the population of Miami. But in amid all of that, we have all that international travel. And I'm interested in the idea of how I feel like Miami is regarded as like this really gorgeous, like desirable destination, and college kids are subject to wanting to go to cool places too. So I don't know if Nash is from the area or like moved there from elsewhere, and I don't know yet, but I'm interested in the idea of the part where Miami is attractive to outside folks for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, cool.
I think I'm gonna pick Cuban.
Cool.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think my default is to have some discomfort in like, is this cultural tourism? And saying that my character is something other than Caucasian. So I don't know if I will bring a whole lot unique to this character or play him in a particular way that I think race would make a difference in how I do the gameplay, just because I don't want to make that a thing. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no accents across the board.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all white here, so that's just another thing to keep in mind. I played this game with a bunch of different people from different heritages and backgrounds, and so I think when everyone's white, you just have to hold each other accountable and try and do our best. And if anyone has feedback, that's great.
Mhm.
I trust and like you all. and the X card is important too. But you know, I think race is important, especially in Miami. So cool. And so after that, we have subcultures, and I will just read these aloud to you. Some options. Let's all pick one again. So we have the subcultures that exist in near future Miami. We've got mermodders. We have electronic musicians, lifestylers.
Can you say what mermodders are?
Well, that's up for interpretation.
Okay.
So
Can you? Yeah.
yeah. So in my idea, you know, like mermaids, mermodders. I kind of just wrote down a whole bunch of what is it, like sensational sounding things, and then we can kind of define them a little bit more.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So these are not like things that have a whole lot of definition in my mind. But yeah, I was thinking people who like some kind of mermaid culture.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
Awesome.
we have electronic musicians, lifestylers. So I don't know what that is either. It could be any lifestyle maybe that's become big. Drag life. So like kind of drag the future of drag kings and queens and genderqueers. And street gangs, brand ambassadors, bedroom girls. I want to emphasize this is not a sex thing. It's more of a, you know, the tradition of like girls making things in their bedrooms. That's kind of what it is.
I'm not familiar with that as a thing.
Oh, so you know how like often girls will be pictured in their bedroom, like writing in a journal or hanging out with friends or making
Okay,
music or
got
you know,
it.
creating something. It's kind of like
Okay,
some aesthetic of a creator. Like you're making things in your bedroom, and your bedroom is a powerful place. And this
got
is
it. It's the
a
like
cultural thing.
the fem read on like a bedroom DJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Fandom. I just put queers as an option, but maybe it's too big. And hover folks, which I imagine are people who really are into hover technology. So I'll start. I would like to have mermodders. I'll just put that in.
Yeah.
You want to pick next?
How many are we picking? Are we each picking one?
We'll each pick one.
Okay, nice. I would like to see drag life as
Cool.
someone who doesn't like participate in drag except for as like purely audience. Again, I have like trepidations of representing that poorly, and so I also would like to, you know, please, I don't want to fetishize drag. I have sort of like an awkward reaction because it's like it's presentation at like by default, so like there's a certain degree to which like it's meant to be spotlighted, but I don't want to do that disrespectfully, but I'd love to see it like featured in the game.
Cool. Andy?
Oh golly.
If we, so let me say the things we don't pick, that doesn't mean they're not in the game. It just means there's probably less representation of them. So like, for example, if we don't pick queers here, it doesn't mean there's no queer people. It just means
I was just saying like everyone playing all the characters.
yeah.
Oh gosh, I think I go back and forth between being really excited about electronic musicians and hover folk. So
Yeah.
those are the two things that I'm on about. And of course, a big part of the hover focus I'm thinking around, of course, back to like skateboarding, and then applying that to the water. Like I start thinking about that kind of thing. So I guess I'm going to pick that one. The great hover focus.
Right. That
There.
one that you're super excited about.
Yeah.
I'm really digging the like juxtaposition of like somebody in a pool, and I don't know if like there's sort of like a cosplay or element of it, like wearing mermaid tails or having sort of like mermaid effects or something like that. And like somebody sitting like on a hoverboard, like 3 feet above the pool, like hanging out with them, like sitting on their little hoverboard, talking with the person like, halfway in the pool. I don't know if this is like the juxtaposition you're thinking of. But.
This is good art. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I love it. For some reason, having that culture, it's kind of like surf culture, or I don't know. It reminds me of what's that with like Keanu Reeves, where he shoots the gun into the air.
Point Break, which is total surf culture. Yeah.
Yeah, like surf culture is like Point Break in the future.
Yes, the book that very far back down its pedigree is based on is a book that is like known as one of the few in like the progenitor of surf noir.
What? I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's great. So
what's the name of this book?
I'm gonna of course blank on it, but the most important part is that the book is by Kim, Kem Nunn, Nunn, and I'll just look it up so that I can remember because it's important.
Surf noir. I feel like that's an important genre, especially to noir, both noir and cyberpunk.
Surf City
type thing.
It's the Dogs of Winter.
Okay.
Oh my god, amazing name.
Yeah. So
cool.
There you go, surf noir.
Surf noir.
Rad.
Okay, Karen, do you have a subculture you would like?
Yeah, so which 3 do we have already?
We have mermodders, we have drag life, and we have hover folks.
Could you define again lifestylers?
Lifestylers. It's a little loose, to be honest. I just kind of made it up.
Okay.
Because I imagine, like, you know how there's people who are like very much about their, like, they're really into dogs, or like they're really into they're really into denim jeans, like you know, people who are like obsessed. That's how I imagine lifestylers to be. It's like these people who are like very obsessed with one thing.
Yeah, let's do that. I like the communities that come up over very specific things.
Yeah, it's kind of like the internet, or like Meetup, or like
yeah,
which I think is super weird that we can do that now, because we have the ability to communicate with people who like the same things as us. So yeah, anyway, cool.
Yeah.
All right, styles. Let us each pick one. This is a long list. So we've got clean white linen, showing skin, plastic, Miami Vice 80s retro, Hollywood glamour, digital ads, elevated highways, smoke, crumbling sidewalks, street fashion, shady folks on corners, public transit, murals, whole blocks drowned in water, and reflective glass. Some of these are a little repetitive of some of the previous things, and that's fine. I was trying to get like the full style of Miami and what might be there, and as far as like the style and what we see. So I think that I will probably pick plastic. Andy, would you like to pick next?
Sure. Yeah. All of them. Let's go with street fashion.
Cool. Karen?
The clean white linen for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always think about linen suits. I love that look. I think it looks so classy and comfortable, but very wrinkly, very easily wrinkly. It's actually really high maintenance.
Yeah. I used to work at this hippie store, and we sold like that hemp linen or whatever all the time. All these older hippie ladies. I always wanted to be one of them and like wear the linen, and I can't pull it off. You get to be older to wear, I don't know, older rich. I can't pull off the linen. Okay, and Sean?
I would like showing skin, and I want to kind of preface it by saying like What I don't want to see is lots of like women objectified as sex objects on beaches.
Right.
And what I do want to see is lots of people of all genders like being very comfortable in their skin and like having like cut off shorts and like shirtless tees and certainly like bikinis as well, but not with this like super emphasis on let's show all these super gorgeous women as set dressing, right? Like, and I think that's one way of showing skin, and that's not the direction that I want to be leaning towards. It's just like people real comfortable with their bodies.
Yeah. Well, and it's hot. There's the beach there, and have the historical culture in Miami Beach is like these beautiful sculpted bodies, and having a body and what you can modify it to look like in the future, I think is really interesting. And the parts that you can show off, I think we can play off a lot.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Awesome. Okay, and finally we've got food. This is important. So again, we're not limited to these. These are the things that we can go to as points. So we've got Cuban food, seafood, exclusive, so expensive, 5-star or whatever. Local, Spanish, crabs, mojitos, cortadito, which I think that's a pastry. I'm not remembering correctly.
It's coffee. It's a coffee beverage.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Isn't that a Cuban coffee?
It is it's like in general with a really heavy mix of espresso with like a pretty like high fat content milk product. To my understanding, I could be incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah, they're delicious. Cuban sandwiches, pastelito, medianoche, and croquetas. So I wrote all these down because I couldn't remember all their proper names, and now I don't remember what they are at all. So if we want to Google, I feel like a pastelito is actually the pastry I'm thinking of.
Cool.
Yeah. I was just looking it up because I was like, what is that?
Yeah, these are all. I love food. I love eating food of all cultures, and I think when I think of cyberpunk settings, when I see Blade Runner. You see Deckard walking down the street, eating all the street food, and like the mix of food that's represented. I think that's important to highlight when you're talking about the culture of the city.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to pick the cortadito because I love those. Who wants to go next? Any ideas?
All of it. I like
all
food.
Of it.
I'm sitting here enjoying the part where we spend way too much time deciding the name of each of the food trucks the amphibious food trucks that exist in this wonderful version of Miami.
Yeah. I really want crabs because
Great.
I love the idea that there might be amphibious food trucks that are like also like fishing vehicles, like that, like theoretically you could get like really fresh crab. It's probably like a complete scam. Like I don't actually believe in that, but like I like the aesthetics of crabs, just like lots of them climbing all over each other, like in tanks.
I like the restaurants where you have a giant mallet and like a bunch of other tools, and you get to feel like some type of savage because you tear apart all of your food on the table.
I used to eat the blue stone crabs, I think, where you actually eat the claws because the claws are so big and they're this bright blue color. I feel like that's really like, I don't know, cyberpunk somehow, like a neon blue crab.
Yeah.
It's fun times.
Yeah. Okay, so we got cortaditos, crabs.
I'm just gonna jump in and say we absolutely need Cuban sandwiches because I want to eat one right now.
Yes.
So
excellent.
They're very high up there in my favorite sandwiches.
Cool.
So
awesome. I realized as I'm looking at this, I didn't add any vegan options, and I'm vegan.
That's something to think about and add. Honestly, you should have some other like vegetarian, vegan.
Yeah.
Well, then in the spirit of sort of spreading that out, how about some really great like like vegan and raw. Like would be I was just sitting here like thinking about like there's the list of food, like all of these wonderful lists could be so long. And I'm just like, how many wonderful different cuisines, like how many different versions of noodles and whose kinds of curry, and starting to get real bent out of shape in a real nice way. All right, what kind of Malaysian food?
I don't know, if we've got also this mix of like upper class tourists, I bet there's a lot of like goddamn smoothie bars.
Yeah.
Just saying, lots of tropical, frozen blended beverages
Absolutely.
Apple, mango.
that like are with the health food mix, like they've all got acai in them or like whatever superfood is big that season, and it
Sure.
rotates. I already made my food choice. I'm just excited by this thing that is now in my head privately.
I'm
Smoothies.
We have a smoothie bar now. 'cause it's
Health food
amazing.
smoothies.
Yeah.
That are like $12.
Yeah.
16.
Well, yeah, probably like 30.
Yeah, inflation.
I don't know. Like, imagine. Yeah.
I was just thinking like
30.
what Jamba Juice charges right now, and then double it. Like that.
I mean, they already exist.
Yeah.
It's true. So
But if
10 seconds in the future, they're just more expensive.
But if it's like a smoothie clinic, you know, where you come in and there's a very it's very cool inside. It's like super air conditioned, and there's like cucumber water to like open your palate and get you ready. For
There's
smoothie.
like clinicians. There's like people who give you a health profile and then tell you like
Then
what
it's a $50 smoothie.
kale blend you need.
Yeah.
gross. And then they inject it into you.
Right.
Mhm.
Injectable.
I'm sad about this.
Gross.
Sorry, we just made it gross.
Sean and I did juices for a while. We were experimenting. We have a juicer, but then I realized like juicers, unless you have the type that masticate the juice, you lose all the protein and you just get all the carbs and sugar
Yeah.
from the fruit.
Yeah.
So
Juice
it's
is
not-
actually not as good as just eating the fruit.
So we were making green juices,
Yeah.
which was a little bit better.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah. There's something that we don't understand actually still about the science of like chewing your food and like the actual act of like chewing, and then how that affects your gastrointestinal. I don't know. I'm really into it.
Yeah, there are juicers that will pulp everything and like they're like masticators and we'll get the fiber in there.
Wow.
I'm a fan of chewing. It's a sensation I like when I'm eating food.
Our juicer is now in the garage. We went after that fad passed as we realized that we were just getting carbs and like no,
Oh no.
nothing filling.
So Andy, what kind of food would you like?
Sorry.
No, this is a good side.
Oh, you were talking about something raw and vegan. Yeah. So, and like curries and noodles and stuff and mixing cuisines. There could be like seaweed or something. That's kind of like
Mm,
I
Love
want
seaweed salad.
vegan fusion food.
vegan fusion.
That's
Yeah.
what I would like.
I am into it. And cool. So now all of our choices have been made for all of the styles that exist in Miami.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all these sushi bars that are super like neon and like amazing colors, and the like what would be the sashimi on the roll is like instead some still like wildly colorful, but like this bright orange vegetable, this bright shoot or something like that on top of the rice and seaweed.
Yeah.
No,
Well, and probably, I mean, how accessible is natural food anymore? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Cool. So the purpose of this is just kind of we have this list of stuff we can always go back to, and we've like kind of created the signature styles, the things that exist here. So we don't really have to make them up. We've already made them up. We've done the work. So that's kind of the purpose of everything we just did. Yay! Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Good creative collaboration.
Also I'm hungry.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking
Right.
of sushi now. Thanks, Sean.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I love it. So we built our city. we built some of the things that are we have like a nebulous neighborhood. Y'all live in a shitty part of town. You don't make much money. So,
Right.
you probably live together. One of you has a pad, and that's Tessa. So you might all live at Tessa's if that's okay with Sean.
That's fine with me. It seems to me like Leto and Tessa's. It's not like Tessa's messy. She just has more stuff than she has places to put it.
Mhm.
And so for Leto to live in Tessa's space, I don't know if that's okay with Karen. Like it
Leto
seems
is
to me
extremely
like
organized. Like he wheeled in his own. Like not only does he have an extremely well organized like tool chest in his garage, but like he applies that sorting to his life. So
Yeah.
like has like those Tupperware drawer sets that are like labeled with all of his things.
Mhm.
And he just wheels in. He's like, and I moved in.
I feel like if it's okay with you that your garage and my workspace are kind of the same thing. I don't know if
Whoa.
your garage is like a move that has special powers, but it seems to me like
I think I kind of want him to have his own space. I
That's
feel
cool.
like he might go so far as to actually have a bed in there. And he just like converted his garage into also his apartment.
Yeah, it could be like an upstairs, downstairs type of situation.
Mhm.
And you could be in an apartment building, and there could be like a garage attached or some kind of weird feature thing like that.
Mhm.
It could be like an old, an old house that you all have fixed up to kind of make it livable and kind of like a not
Mhm.
so great neighborhood.
right. Is that would that be acceptable where like it's the same building, but like the garage is Leto's space and it is like a totally different look than the rest of like it's its own carved out
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
space?
Cool. Awesome. And yes. Okay. So the final thing we need to do is kind of create some factions who are working against you. So this is pretty simple. It's not like a whole thing. It's kind of just imagine based on everything that's happening in Miami. It's partially flooded. You've got like rich districts and poor districts, and you have the beaches, the resort economy, weird subcultures, like all of these things happening. What are the things? What are the groups in Miami, the factions in Miami that are oppressing you in particular, but also your neighborhood? So they have all personally, you have personally been hurt by the system, and these are the factions are representing the system that has hurt you. And so I just kind of have like some basic idea, like basic ideas of factions. It could be gentrification, like some kind of company that is, trying to build condos on the beach. You could have like cops are a great go-to anywhere. It's just hard to function. There's police brutality.
I think we talked about closed beaches, that there are private beaches that have been closed as part of this like resort complex. So that's already there as like the tourist industry moving in.
Yeah, I feel like there could be like a zoning law trying to pass where they're trying to basically kick people out of places that could then be converted into more sort of private beach resort spaces.
Okay.
I could see that all being part of like a big, like all sort of different facets of the same sort of gentrification.
Yeah. So it sounds like could the group that's driving that be a real estate company?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I was going to say I immediately thought about travel and tourism, right? That whole.
Yeah, I mean, after the ghost ship fire in Oakland, a lot of people lost their housing because in sort of an effort to like cover your asses, a lot of folks that were renting out spaces to like art collectives and just people that were sort of cramming into places to keep rent cheap.
Yeah, a lot of people that were like, oh shit, we don't think our buildings are up to code.
Right.
So there was this
And so instead of trying to get them
Massive
to code
fiction.
or trying to like, trying to
Yeah, it
deal with
was-
it, they're just like, well, it's just safer lawsuit wise for us to just evict everybody. And I
Yeah.
completely see this sort of like pressure of I mean, the way we've described the pad so far is that it probably does not like adhere to zoning laws and fire codes and all that shit. And I could totally see like our actual home being under peril of like it probably violates a bunch of code violations and therefore could easily be like condemned and therefore could easily be picked up by a real estate agency cheap by
Can I say though, in defense of also those communities that did live in unsafe buildings, I think that we as a community have very strict safety rules ourselves. So even though we know that our building might be a tinderbox, we have very strict rules on open flames, and
Absolutely.
they're
Yeah.
like we are trying to make the place as safe as possible. So I don't
Right.
think that we're being irresponsible in how we're living, but we are living in an unsafe building because in defense of the people in the ghost ship, they had very strict rules about fire safety in that building.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more of a this is all we have available for the money we have, and we'll
Yeah.
Right. And we're doing the best we can with it.
Yeah.
But it could still be perceived from the outside, from an uncaring eye, as
Absolutely,
this
because
is
it's the building.
right.
Cool. So this company, it sounds like they haven't hurt you yet, but they perhaps have hurt people around you.
Mhm.
And
I
maybe
think
you live in a shitty neighborhood, but maybe it's close to beach access or something. Like maybe it's old and run down. But when I say shitty, I just mean not
Food
not
desert.
not supported by the city. Like
Yeah.
Sure.
it's a
Yeah.
food desert. There's not
Well-
a lot of monetary support going.
Is
into
this
it.
like a warehouse-ish space that is near some of these? Because I brought up, I think, was it like industrial dock area, like
Mhm.
some of that sort of thing? Is this somewhere near like the business side of like the back half of the strip where all the like ugly boats go?
Yeah.
Sort of deal. Like I don't know. I'm asking that question in general. If
I think
Yeah.
that sounds cool.
I like the idea of a bunch of like really rundown houseboats being kind of in our backyard. Like we're not right
Yeah.
on the water, but we're close enough to it. And like
Yeah.
what's there. And so maybe what they don't want is exactly where we are. What they want is the waterfront space. And then we just happen to be adjacent to it. So it's like this whole area. And to be
Yeah.
a little cliche, but honestly, it's cliche, but it's like true. The
Yeah.
whole idea of depriving an area of services so that property values really drop, and then going and buying
Yep.
that up and like gentrifying it is like absolutely within the MO of a wealthy developer. So
Cool.
actually, I think developer is more than real estate agent. Honestly, I'm thinking more of like somebody who wants to do a big tourist type development thing.
Cool.
I don't know if that.
I actually don't know much about real estate. So a developer deals more with building like multiple buildings.
Yeah, they have that. They're the people who are going to come in with like the plans for a resort or something like that, and they're certainly going to work with real estate agents and lawyers and all that. But like, rather than like caring about one property or another, they're caring about sort of the big
the whole area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what should their name be? Like something cheesy like Sunshine Developers, or like
I'd kind of like some names on it, like
yeah.
Brunswick and Cole, or like something like just names of people. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
gross, like Guilford and
Mm.
Brunswick, Cole, and Guilford.
perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
I love it.
Okay.
Not to besmirch any of those names, but
Can we?
Is
Can
that,
we?
does it turn into BFG? But no.
BCG?
BCG, okay.
BCG
I
is
think it would be
cool.
called BCG, right? Like that's
Yeah,
probably
we would call it
Yeah.
BCG.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Karen, I talked over you. You were saying
No, that was fine.
Okay.
It is 3:00 EST. Is it break time?
yeah.
Sounds great.
I think so. All right. So we'll be back in a few minutes, everyone, and we'll find out about BCG and all their awfulness then. See you all soon.